Sifuna shindwe. Babu Owino shindwe. Mtu anaitwa usijui wa Bujoro ashindwe. Pepo. Pepo. Pepo.
Panganga na midomo mingi imeshapungua after Babu Owino na Sifuna wameingia Kisumu. Mdomo imepungua sasa. Kisumu msikanyage. Kumbafu nyinyi. Mmepungua sasa. Pia Kisumu ni one time bana. Acha hiyo puzi mnaendeleza pale hivyo Jakaranda ati mnatishia Sifuna asiingie Kisumu. Sasa wewe juu umechotewa, yule mwenye ako pale Kisumu yule hapo nini hajachotewa. Yeye hali yake ni mbaya, alafu nataka ati aseme tu tamjua ulichotewa uko Nairobi, uko Jakaranda. Acha upuzi bana. Aro. Kisumu wanasema one time. Kwanza ni place iko very peaceful.
Walituambia, walitutisha, wakasema mtatuangamiza hapa Kondele. Kumbe nyinyi ni marafiki zetu bwana. Mujipigie makofi. Mujipigie makofi. Sisi tunamojua watu wa Kisumu, nyinyi ni wapenda demokrasia. Mtu akuja aseme yake, aende mwingine akuja aseme yake, si ndio?
Nice.
Hii machuki zenye mnaendeleshanga pale Jakaranda pale kinaomoshwa na mtaacha ujinga. Mtaacha ujinga. No mena sijui kama zimeanza kuharibikia nyinyi.
Kusema ukweli tukiweka feelings kando, ile rally ya Sifuna jana nayo ilikuwa kali. Hiyo nayo waliweza. And yesterday I did a video and said doing a rally doesn't mean that utashinda mtu. Like kama rallies ndio zingekuwa zinafanya mtu akuwe president, Raila hakuna mtu alikuwa anafanyanga rallies kali hii Kenya kuliko Raila. Kwanza akiita watu Uhuru Park ama aseme kuna kitu anataka kutangaza. Raila naye alikuwa anafanya rally. So rally hazifai zi excite watu. What I think about the yesterday's rally inaonesha how powerful Sifuna is. Like you cannot underrate him. And mimi kwanza nimekuwa nikisema tu Sifuna, but after yesterday niliona hao watu they can pull a huge crowd. And watu wanawasikiza, Kenya mzima inawasikiza. So sasa hiyo wako na hiyo favor as politicians. Babu na Sifuna wako na hiyo, watu wamewakubali. And we just have to give it to them. What I think ni Oburu, abuka jini ujue vile utaongelesha hawa watu ama watakunyang'anya chama. Ukikaa vibaya hawa watu wataenda na chama yako. Hata wakizanzisha ODMB na wasimamishe watu huko Nyanza, niko sure utapata wabunge. So what ODM should do before December, mkae chini msolve hizo issues zenyu, kwa sababu Sifuna is becoming more bigger than the party. Na ifai kuwa hivyo. Na mtu akisha kuwa bigger than the party, anaanzishanga chama yake ama anachukuanga chama, anawanyang'anya chama. So Buru, be careful. Sifuna ataenda na chama usipochunga. Unajua akienda na chama, Ruto atamuita yeye kwa meza wakae. So ulisikia babu akisema if you are not on the table, we will break the table. So it's not even about Kenyans. It's about mambo ya what will I get in 2027. And Ruto yuko ana interest yote ya kupendana na mtu ati anapenda Oburu. Ruto anataka wale watu watamletea kura. Na the moment Ruto ataka hivi chini aone Oburu ndio Sifuna na babu ndio wataleta kura, hao ndio atakaa nao chini. Na nyinyi Oburu mtazama.
Na tuko tutamna ODM lakini Gladys Wanga, Junet Mohamed, na wengine ni mbaya.
You saw what happened in Kisumu yesterday. I've always told you that all my predictions come true. It's because I have that gift to be able to see what is going to happen before it happens. And all I do is look at patterns. I mean, if you just apply logic to everything, then you'll be able to figure these things out. I told you that there is no way the Luo community can be devoid of the ability to think for themselves. It is impossible. It is not in our culture. It is not in our genetics either. We are people who apply logic to the simplest of things. To the simplest of things, including food. Including food, right? And think about it. Just think about it. When did the Luo community become so submissive? We are not a submissive people. No, we are not. Especially when there is no common sense. The Luo community must always follow common sense. I told you that Raila was not made a king by anyone. It was his own actions that actually made him a king. If you can recall everything he did, he actually sold himself to the Luo community. And they say that this guy is actually fit to be king. And so, you need to realize that to be a Luo leader, you must sell yourself. And the only way you sell yourself is by proving that you're fit to be a Luo leader. And I told you before that Orengo might actually be the next Luo kingpin. It depends on how he plays these particular cards right. If he can play these cards right, then I guarantee you that Orengo can actually be the next Luo kingpin. Simply by the virtue of him standing next to Raila, simply by the virtue of him, going out to the streets with Raila, simply by the virtue of him being loyal to Raila in Raila's latter days. So what are my next predictions? And these I'd actually predicted earlier. My next predictions are this. Number one, this is what is going to happen to the Luo nation. If you are not going to be with this new team, you are going to be out. And politicians are very quick to see and read signs. At this particular point, it is either you're going to be with the Sifuna side, Orengo side, Babu side, or you're going to be with the Oburu side. And unfortunately, the Oburu side, as it appears right now, is weak in Luo Nyanza. The most popular side is going to take over the Luo party, the Luo-led party, which is ODM. They're going to take over that party. Why is that going to happen? It is not going to be driven by 3 or 4 people. Sifuna, Babu, Orengo, and the guys you saw on the podium yesterday, Tuju. It's not going to be driven by them. What is going to happen is going to be, there's going to be a very quick migration from the Oburu side to the Raila side, from all the MPs who have been silent. Suddenly, in the next few months, you're going to start seeing outspoken ODM people siding up with Sifuna. They'll be taking sides with Sifuna. And when that happens, ODM must go into an election. And when they go into an election, Orengo will take over as a chairman. Sifuna will go back to Secretary General. They will support Babu for governorship of Nairobi. All those things will come to play. And unfortunately, the likes of Gladys Wanga, Oburu, and the guys in government right now, Opio and I's, trust me, they're going to be shoved aside. You're going to start seeing a more outspoken Winnie Odinga, who's going to be in support of the Orengo faction. Because she knows that's what her father wanted. The father must have spoken to her about it. And this whole debacle is actually killing her. It's stressing her because this is your uncle, someone you loved, someone you respected. Oburu and Raila are very close. So you can imagine how difficult it is for Winnie and her family to go against their uncle. But they are also confused because they never thought that their uncle would be acting the way he's acting. But the uncle will say that he's doing all these things for what is best for the family. Remember, they come from an investment capitalist family. So there's huge investments involved. And they've actually seen this grow. And so perhaps they've taken a backseat because of Buru has made them believe that it is for the best of the family. But unfortunately, it is not going to play out as well as they think. That's my prediction, that in the next few months, what you're going to see is conflict. You're going to see conflict. And the conflict is going to be as a result of a huge exodus from the Oburu-led faction to the Sifuna-led faction, by virtue of what was seen yesterday in Kisumu. It is not going to be business as usual. If you're not going to be on this other side, you're going to be in trouble in Kisumu, in Nyanza region actually. You're going to be in trouble. Western region has seen what happened, so I can guarantee you that Western region is going to be behind Sifuna. The other thing I saw yesterday, I am highly suspicious that the first thing will be to take over the party or destroy the party and form a new party. Orengo becomes chairman, and I suspect Orengo will want to be president. Those are my suspicions. That is what I have from Nyanza. That things are happening the way I had anticipated they were going to happen in Nyanza. And now, the only thing left is for the Sifuna faction to either take over the ODM party using this popularity that they've gained in Nyanza, and now they are more confident than they were before, and or break that party and form their own, and there's going to be a mass exodus to join them. It is either or. One of those two things will happen. That is the Nyanza. But the opposition still needs a lot of work if they really have to muscle this government out of power. They need a lot of work because there's no unifying factor. Do you know why there's no unifying factor? Gachagua is not a unifying factor. I've always told you guys that Gachagua is playing his cards really well. Gashagua's role is to make sure that central votes remain intact, but as central votes. Gachagua might pitch his own person to run, and it's not going to be Kalonzo. He might pitch his own person to run, and this only scatters the opposition votes further. But I've also told you before that I strongly believe that Gachagua and Ruto are working together. Why? Because there's no one who has insulted the president to the level that Gachagua has insulted the president, and is still walking scot-free, safe, not being harassed like Tuju has been harassed. And so, I think he's playing his role very well. But he is useless in Central for as long as one Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is alive. And if there's one person who can actually unify the opposition, is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The moment Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta will stand up to speak and remind the Central voters who took them to the slaughterhouse, what was done to him by the person who took them to the slaughterhouse, that will finish Gashagua's popularity in Central. And so, if the Orengo faction can get their house in order, then Uhuru is the one person who can actually unify Central with Nyanza, Eastern, and Coast. And that, as you know it, my friend, will be game over. And that's why every time Uhuru stands up to speak, you always see people who want to cut off his neck. Because they understand and they know this, that there's only one person who can actually unify the opposition. But is he really cut out for that job without Raila? I indeed am waiting to see what happens in the next few weeks. And I really hope that he's actually cut out. And if someone knows Uhuru, please ask Uhuru to start speaking now. This is a...
There is something I would really just wish
to make clear kidogo. There is this big lie, a very big lie, that is being sold by Luo leaders to our people. Viongozi wa Jaluo kuna uongo wanauzia watu wetu. And they are lying, in fact not to our people, to ODM people, that if you don't support two-term, then you are supporting Rigathi Gachagua. That is a lie. Rigathi Gachagua is not an option of ODM. That is a lie that our people have just decided. Our leaders wameamua that now if you don't support Rigathi Gachagua, then automatically you are supporting, if you don't support two-term, then automatically you are supporting Rigathi Gachagua. Why am I saying that that is a lie? ODM, Jubilee, and wiper of Kalonzo Musyoka is under one thing we call Azimio coalition. Azimio coalition was a coalition that was formed by Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, Martha Karua, and other small parties. And to his death, Raila had not removed ODM from Azimio. That is why you see we have a character who was elected by ODM and is a leader of Azimio called Omondi Karoli. Now, remember, Rigathi Gachagua was in government. And Rigathi Gachagua, when he left government, he had to join something. If you're not in government, you are in opposition. So, Azimio was the opposition party. And that is why you hear us having something we call the United Opposition. United Opposition doesn't mean that sasa a new party that has been formed that is called United Opposition. No. We are in Azimio. Azimio is that party yenye kona UDM, UDA, not UDA I mean, tuko na ODM, tuko na Jubilee, tuko na Wiper ndani, na other small parties. So, when Rigathi Gachagua left government, he started opposing government. He had to join the opposition. So, the reason why we call it United Opposition is because all other people who are saying no to this government have decided to join this opposition. But Rigathi Gachagua is not a member of Azimio coalition. So, he cannot be our presidential candidate. Jubilee, that is a member of Azimio coalition, is pushing one Matiang'i to be the flag bearer. Wiper is pushing Kalonzo Musyoka. ODM has not even given the candidate. But again, the constitution of our coalition, which is Azimio coalition, states that the party leader of Azimio becomes the presidential flag bearer. And when Raila Amolo Odinga died, when the Azimio leadership met, they chose Kalonzo Musyoka as the flag bearer of Azimio. So at the moment as we speak, mpaka penye tumefika, the only person that they can threaten us with is Kalonzo Musyoka because he is the leader of Azimio coalition as we speak. But we have not yet declared nani atakuwa president. So when you see our leader saying that wanatupeleka wa Gachagua, wanataka Gachagua, no. The reason why wanasema United Opposition is because the likes of Gachagua joined the Azimio part. Simply because the Azimio is the official opposition party. Now, because they can hawezi fukuza mtu mwenye na oppose government from being from opposition and they are speaking the same language, that is what something called the United Opposition comes in. Rigathi Gachagua is no member of Azimio. He has his own party. He has declared his own presidential candidate with DCP. But he is not part and parcel of Azimio. So tuache kudanganya watu wetu kwa kuambia eti ukisema one term wewe unapeleka watu kwa Rigathi Gachagua. No. Rigathi Gachagua has just but joined Azimio na hana voice Azimio. Ako na party yake inaitwa DCP. But the fact that anatembea na watu ya Azimio kwa sababu ni official opposition party, ndio wanakuja na kitu nasema the United Opposition. It is not a coalition. The coalition here is Azimio. Flag bearer, the party leader of Azimio is Kalonzo Musyoka, who happens to also be the party leader of Azimio coalition is Kalonzo Musyoka, who happens to be the party leader of Wiper party. Now, since there's a lot of people that iliamua kutoka kwa ODM na kusema inasema two term kwa serikali, that is now where
something called an acting party leader of ODM, who is now one James Agri Orengo, can come up and say, I'm the party leader of ODM, we have the party leader of Wiper, we have the party leader of Jubilee. We want to make a coalition and have a presidential candidate. Unless Rigathi Gachagua aseme, I'm joining Azimio. And again, he cannot join Azimio and become the presidential candidate, because already Azimio iko na presidential candidate who happens to be the leader of Azimio coalition, who is one Kalonzo Musyoka. So mpaka sahi tukiongea, tukirudi kwa opposition ya Azimio, in fact flag bearer wa Azimio hata sio Oburu Odinga, kwa sababu yeye sio leader wa Azimio, and that is why uliona Oburu Odinga ka withdraw akasema ODM is living, we are living Azimio. Azimio is dead. Not because Azimio ilikufa. It is because Oburu Odinga knows very well that he can be the leader of ODM. But the coalition agreement, the coalition constitution does not allow him to be the presidential candidate unless he is the leader of Azimio coalition. And the leader of Azimio coalition is Kalonzo Musyoka. So wakati Oburu alikuwa anasema anatoa ODM, si alikuwa anatoa ODM, alikuwa anatoka kwa sababu alijua haizi patiwa akakuwa flag bearer kwa sababu yeye sio leader wa Azimio. And even that's why they are bitter. Unasikia kila time, oh, you are taking us to Gachagua. Gachagua is not a member of Azimio. Gachagua was a member of the government. And when the government failed on 24th June last year, ndia akifukuzwa huko, ndia akakuja kutujoin. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he is the leader of Azimio. He is not even a member of Azimio, not even an ex-officio of Azimio. And that's why to elaborate kitu tukasema the united opposition, because they joined us. But he is not the flag bearer, he is not the presidential candidate, and he cannot be the presidential candidate. Oburu Odinga akitoa ODM kwa Azimio, akilia ati ODM inatoka Azimio, ni kwa sababu alijua vizuri Azimio coalition ilikuwa ishachukua Kalonzo Musyoka as the party leader, the coalition leader. And according to the constitution, the coalition leader automatically becomes the presidential candidate. Raila Amolo Odinga was the leader of Azimio coalition. When he died, huyu Wiper Kalonzo ndiye aliyekuwa leader wa Azimio. And that is why Oburu wanted to remove ODM, because as much as angekuwa leader ya ODM, hangekuwa presidential candidate kwa sababu yes leader wa Azimio. And that is what the wise ambia watu wetu. Sio Rigathi Gachagua, we are not working with Rigathi Gachagua. But Rigathi Gachagua is a Kenyan and is opposing the government. Where does he fall? He falls on the opposition. In government, there are two things. It's either you are in government or you are in opposition. So if you are opposing that government, if you say one term, you are in opposition. And that is why kwa sababu wamekutana watu wengi wenye wanaongea the same language, wakaita united opposition. But it doesn't mean that Rigathi Gachagua is the presidential candidate of the united opposition. United opposition is not a coalition. Coalition hapo ni Azimio, and the head of Azimio is Kalonzo Musyoka. That is why unaona uoga yao yote wameanza kurushia Kalonzo Musyoka. But that is why Orengo also is saying, I'm the acting party leader. Kwa sababu Orengo pia anasema, this presidential, Azimio coalition, leader, still is negotiable. It is open. So, muache kudanganya watu wetu kwamba mtu akisema one term, anapeleka watu kwa Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua is not a member of Azimio. But he is a person who is opposing the government. So he is in opposition. Yeye si mtu ya Azimio. That's why unaona Jubilee inasema Matiang'i president. Wiper inasema Kalonzo president. ODM mwenye ilikuwa na watu wengi kwa Azimio imenyamaza. And that is why you see the likes of Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, James Orenga saying no. We are also in Azimio, and we can also bring a presidential candidate. So si ati hakuna presidential candidate, Azimio coalition already can get a presidential candidate. But the likes of Oburu Odinga, who are simping with the government, who knows that they cannot be made leaders of Azimio coalition, are now trying to withdraw. But uzuri, they are withdrawing the few leaders who want positions, but the people trust and believe in ODM and believe in Azimio coalition. So, mtu mwenye anasema one term, si ati lazima ati ana support Rigathi Gachagua. That is a game being played by leaders to show that to turn our people against. They are weaponizing Gachagua so that wakisema ati kina Sifuna wanauza Gachagua. Hapana, Gachagua sio member ya Azimio. DCP is not a member party of Azimio coalition. Kenyans mnajua party zenye Zibaba alitengeneza na Azimio, na hii Azimio bado iko. So wacheni kudanganya watu wetu.